Hi, Lecture 3 is on the Philippine avifauna. If you were asked what birds are, it is quite easy to answer that. Birds belong to class Aves and are the only feathered vertebrates. Although not all birds fly, their forelimbs are modified to wings. Along with mammals, they are also endothermic, meaning heat is derived from within through metabolic processes. In addition to lungs, though, birds have air sacs that serve as internal compartments which hold air and facilitate internal air passage to allow birds to have a continuous flow of large volumes of air through the lungs. It is a way to increase oxygen exchange capacity and efficiency. Birds are exclusively oviparous and exhibit nesting behavior. The Philippines is rich in endemic bird species with 117 IBAs. The Important Bird Areas program, now changed to Important Bird and Biodiversity Areas, was conceived on the idea that site protection can be effective in preventing or reducing habitat loss and other threats driving the biodiversity crisis. This is because biodiversity is unevenly distributed and can be highly concentrated in a relatively few small areas. Thus, there is a clear need to identify the sites of greatest importance for biodiversity and to target conservation action towards them. The criteria used are significant number of globally threatened species, number of endemic birds, and areas known to hold large congregation of birds. IBAs may be potentially designated as Ramsar sites. Ramsar sites are wetlands of international importance and are of course habitats of wetland-associated birds, especially migratory birds. The Philippines is a naturally water-rich archipelago. Several water bodies have been declared as natural wetlands in the country, but only 8 have been identified as wetlands of international importance or Ramsar sites. These are the Olango Island Wildlife Sanctuary, Nauhan Lake National Park, Agusan Marsh Wildlife Sanctuary, Tubataha Rifts Natural Park, Puerto Princesa Subterranean River National Park, Las Piñas Parañaque Critical Habitat and Ecotourism Area, and in 2016, the Negros Occidental Coastal Wetlands Conservation Area was declared as a Ramsar site, and the most recent is the Sasmuan, Pampanga Coastal Wetlands, declared just this February 2021 as number 2445. Bird species taxonomy is one of the most dynamic, and this is evident in the differences of bird species counts over the years and depending on the source. For Peterson et al. 2000, there are 552. Kennedy et al. 2000, the Guide to the Birds of the Philippines book, 572. BirdLife International, 594. AviBase, World Bird Checklist, lists 734. Wild Bird Club of the Philippines, 709. And for the iNaturalist, 657. Just to review, since this was already in the first lecture, Philippine birds may be classified as resident, migratory, migratory with resident populations, near endemic, and endemic. Many of the endemic birds are restricted to specific islands and may be found only on Luzon, only on Mindanao, only on Palawan, and on other islands or on multiple islands. Let's take a look at some of the Philippine birds at the order level. Accipiciformis includes most of the diurnal birds of prey, including hawks, eagles, vultures, and kites, but not falcons. These raptors, including falcons, typically have sharply hooked beak, long and broad wings for soaring, strong legs and raptorial feet to hold their prey, and are long-lived with low reproductive rates. A DNA study published in 2008 indicated that falcons are not closely related to the Accipiciformis, being instead more closely related to parrots and passerines. Falcons and caracaras make up order Falconiformis, and our example is the Philippine falconet Microhyrax erythrogenis. Order Pelecaniformis consists of medium to large-sized water birds like the egrets, herons, and bitterns. Some of them are migratory species. Most modern species in the order Anseriformes are highly adapted for an aquatic existence at the water surface, and due to this, have webbed feet. Examples are the ducks. Order Ciconiiformis is an order that has recently suffered many changes as a result of DNA-based phylogeny, and it now contains more species. We will not elaborate much on this, but expect morphologically divergent forms to be phylogenetically related. The Ciconiiformes are typical wading birds, mostly associated with shallow water. Grebes are aquatic diving birds in the order Podicipediformes. Grebes are widely distributed birds of fresh water, with some species also occurring in marine habitats during migration and winter. Members of order Procellariiformes are almost exclusively pelagic and are colonial, mostly nesting on remote, predator-free islands. Many birds in the order Suliformes used to be placed in Pelecaniformes and comprises the boobies, cormorants, and frigate birds. Order Charadriiformes includes the shorebirds such as gulls, terns, snipes, jacanas, and plovers. These are small to medium-sized birds. It also includes the button quails, which are small and terrestrial. Order Gruiformes includes wading and terrestrial bird families such as crakes and rails. Order Galliformes, on the other hand, includes the heavy ground-living birds such as pheasants, partridges, jungle fowl, chickens, turkeys, and the Old World quails. Order Caprimulgiformes includes the nightjars and frogmouths, while order Strigiformes is represented by the owls. Order Trogoniformes is represented by the trogon Harpactes ardens. They feed on insects and fruits, and they have a heterodactyl feet. The plumage between the male and female differ, with a more colorful male, as you see in the photo. Order Bucerotiformes is represented by the hoopoe and the hornbills. They have large curved bills, and hornbills have casques on top of their upper mandible, and they are endemic to the Philippines. Order Coraciiformes includes the kingfishers and the bee-eaters. They have a syndactyl feet with 3 forward-pointing toes. Toes 3 and 4 are fused at the base, as you can see in the photo. Order Columbiformes is represented by the pigeons and doves. They have a stout body with short necks. They have short, slender bills, and they are primarily herbivorous. Order Psittaciformes, on the other hand, is represented by the parrots and the lorikeets. Order Pisciformes is represented by the woodpeckers and the barbets. They have strong chisel-like bills and they are insectivorous. They have zygodactyl feet with 2 toes forward and 2 toes at the back. Order Cuculiformes is represented by the cuckoos, quail, malcohas, and cuckoos. These are medium-sized slender birds. Most are arboreal. Most of them are also omnivorous, and some are said to be brood parasites. Order Passeriformes are also called passerines, songbirds, or perching birds. This is the largest order of birds and the dominant avian group. The passeriform birds are true perching birds with an isodactyl feet, or 3 toes directed forward and 1 backward. For your learning activity, read the journal articles on bird taxonomy. The first one is Townsend, 2006. Taxonomy is important in conservation, a preliminary reassessment of Philippine species-level bird taxonomy. And the second article is Color, 2007, Philippine Bird Taxonomy and Conservation, a commentary on Peterson. The third is optional reading. So the discussion question is, what are the issues being debated by Townsend and Color? Who will you side with? Why? Justify your answer. And the second question is, how can their issues be resolved? So you make recommendations. Okay, so you may proceed with your learning activity. Have a nice day.